In a shocking development in the ongoing battle over immigration policy in the United States, a group of prominent Democrats has officially filed a lawsuit against Immigration and Customs Enforcement, widely known as ICE. The lawsuit alleges that ICE is deliberately blocking members of Congress and their staff from entering and inspecting federal detention facilities where undocumented immigrants and asylum seekers are being held. This move has reignited the political firestorm surrounding the U.S. immigration system and the conditions inside these controversial facilities. According to official statements from the lawmakers involved, the Democrats claim that ICE's refusal to grant them access violates not only their constitutional responsibilities but also the transparency that Congress is supposed to have over federal agencies. Several members of Congress, including high-profile figures who have been vocal critics of ICE in the past, say that they were repeatedly denied entry despite requesting visits to review the conditions in which migrants are being kept. These facilities have been under intense scrutiny for years, especially following reports of overcrowding, insufficient medical care, and the prolonged detention of families and minors. The lawsuit, filed in federal court, argues that ICE is engaging in obstruction and attempting to hide the true conditions inside the detention centers from the public. Democrats insist that oversight is a crucial part of their job, and by blocking them, ICE is undermining democratic accountability. They have accused the agency of trying to operate in secrecy, which they claim is unacceptable for a government institution funded by taxpayers. On the other side, ICE officials have released a brief response, stating that security protocols and scheduling procedures must be followed for visits to take place. They argue that denying entry does not necessarily indicate wrongdoing but rather reflects standard operational procedures. However, Democrats are not buying that explanation. They say that these repeated denials and delays are part of a broader effort to prevent the public and their elected representatives from knowing what is truly happening behind those locked doors. This lawsuit comes at a time when immigration continues to be one of the most polarizing issues in American politics. The Biden administration has faced criticism from both sides of the political spectrum, with Republicans accusing the administration of being too lenient on border enforcement, while progressive Democrats argue that migrant rights are being violated under existing policies. This legal action against ICE adds yet another chapter to the political tug-of-war over immigration, detention, and accountability. The Democrats filing the lawsuit say that the American people have a right to know whether their government is treating detainees humanely. They cite previous incidents where independent reports and whistleblowers revealed disturbing conditions in detention centers, including inadequate access to food, water, and medical care. Some lawmakers have shared stories of mothers and children being held in cold, overcrowded cells, and they fear that without proper oversight, such conditions could persist or worsen. Legal experts say this case could have significant implications for the balance of power between Congress and federal agencies. If the courts rule in favor of the Democrats, ICE may be legally compelled to provide greater access to lawmakers and potentially even make changes to how these facilities operate. On the other hand, if ICE successfully defends its position, it could strengthen the agency's autonomy in controlling who can and cannot access its facilities. The lawsuit has also reignited the broader debate over whether ICE should even exist in its current form. Calls to reform or even abolish the agency have been growing among progressive activists for years. Some argue that the agency has become a symbol of inhumane immigration enforcement, while others insist that it is essential for national security and border control. The outcome of this lawsuit could influence that debate in a major way, especially if new revelations about the conditions inside detention centers come to light. Political analysts are also watching closely to see how this case will affect the 2025 political landscape. Immigration is expected to be a key issue in the upcoming elections, and this lawsuit gives Democrats a platform to highlight what they see as the failures of the current system. Meanwhile, Republicans are likely to argue that Democrats are engaging in political theater rather than solving the actual problems at the border. Both sides are using the lawsuit to rally their bases, which means this case is as much about public perception as it is about legal precedent. For now, the lawsuit is in its early stages, and it could take weeks or even months before a court hears arguments. In the meantime, Democrats say they will continue to push for transparency and accountability, vowing not to back down in their fight for oversight. As the case develops, the American public will be watching closely, eager to know whether the legal system will side with Congress in its demand for access, or allow ICE to continue its operations behind closed doors. This legal showdown highlights the deep divisions in U.S. politics over immigration enforcement and the treatment of migrants. It underscores the ongoing struggle between transparency and security, oversight and operational control. Whether this case results in a major shift in immigration policy or fades into the long list of political battles remains to be seen. One thing is certain: this lawsuit has put ICE, Congress, and the broader debate over America's immigration system back in the national spotlight.